In 2024, Hypergames gave us the cozy and rebel-filled game Snufkin, which was 5 hours with wonderful gameplay and massively fun. But that was sadly lacking in accessibility for a game aimed to be for all ages. It was due to that I was a bit skeptical when Hypergames sent me a code for their newest game, but oh boy did they surprise. Hi everyone, my name is Arevya and I'm a disabled and chronically ill gamer and accessibility consultant, and today I will review the accessibility in Moomintroll Winter's Warmth. So what is this game all about? Well, Moomintroll Winter's Warmth is developed by Hypergames and was published on the 27th of April by Hypergames and Kakahashi Games. It is the second game from the developers set in the wonderful and charming world of the Moomintrolls, inspired by the delightful and brilliant stories made by Tove Janssons. In this game, you play as Moomin himself when he one day wakes up too early from his winter slumber to find out that he seems to be all alone in a world he barely recognizes as his own. Covered in a veil of powdering snow, he has to be brave and set out on an adventure to figure out what has happened to him and his friends. And in true Moomin fashion, this is a game made for children, but with a dialogue heavy enough to make us adults stop and think, and I absolutely adore it. So let's take a look at the accessibility. Settings. I played the Steam version of this game, and as soon as I launched the game, I was met with a cozy indicator from Steam that I should sit back with a controller and relax, which was a great start. When the game boots up, you are met with one window you need to click through before you see the start screen, where you have the access to start the game or check out all the settings. And I said this before, and I say it again, please every developer remember to do this, as many disabled gamers need to access the settings before starting the game to be able to play your game in a safe and comfortable way. In the settings you find general options, controller options and accessibility options, which is also accessible for you while moving around in the game, but sadly not when locked in dialogue or in a cutscene. The settings is also not explained, which in the start made me quite unsure what effect they actually had and if I needed to turn them on or not. And this makes the setting in themselves a bit inaccessible, as it's hard to know if you need something or not if you are not actually sure what they actually do. It also makes it so that people miss out on turning them on when needing them later in game, as it's hard to remember something you did not understand in the first place, which is something that almost happened to me more than once. Which is a shame, because Hypergames were this close to getting the settings perfectly right when it comes to accessibility. Onboarding. When you start a new game, it starts with this cute cutscene which has button prompts on screen telling you what to push to progress the conversation. And this is something you will see throughout all of the game, that most indications are indicated on screen, making it quite easy to understand how to play the game. From progressing the dialogue to using a tool, it would always indicate on how you do it and when you can do it, which is a really good thing. And if you ever forget what button does what when playing on controller, there is this own tab when pressing start that shows you a picture of your controller indicating what buttons to use. Though I do wish this was in general displayed when pressing start and also available for keyboard, but now I'm being a bit nitpicky. Getting onboarded into the game is quite easy, as every quest gets its own pop-up at the side of the screen, telling you quite clearly what to do next. The game in general is quite easy to understand and would be a great starting game both for young children and people new to gaming. Audio accessibility. The most impressive accessibility in this game is the audio accessibility, as nothing in this game relies on audio cues alone, as all of the information is also indicated by visual animation. So from characters knocking on your door to Sorry-O howling in the wind, every sound you need to notice has some kind of indicator, like the waveform from Sour Notes, making this game perfect and completely accessible for deaf and hard of hearing gamers. You can also change all the volume for the individual sound with the audio sliders in the settings, giving you full control over the master volume, music volume, sound effect volume, ambient volume, voice volume and UI volume. If I have to give any notes on these settings, it would be to give a sound example of what these sounds indicate, but they are really good just the way they are. Vision accessibility. On the other side, vision accessibility is where the game is sadly lacking the most, as this game is not accessible for most blind players. There are no text-to-speech options and there are no screen narrators. The dialogue in the game is also not read out loud for you, so even if you are able to play the gameplay, you will miss out of the story if you cannot read the text, and I have to say that the story is what gives this game a second layer that I would not be without. But on the bright side, the game offers you to turn on larger text that makes it somewhat larger and easier to see. If this is enough for anybody with reduced vision or who are blind to be able to play, will be up to the individual, but I do appreciate it being there. A way for it to have been improved would be to have the text scaling possibilities like the one we see in Atom Falls, but I do expect a whole lot more work from both the programmers and designer, and something that is often needed to be terminated from the start of the game development. But I do hope we will see something like this from the next game from Hyper Games, now that we have put it out there in the universe. I also just want to quickly mention that if you want, you can use your own system cursor instead of the one in-game, giving you the possibility to have one that you can easier see. If you change the size of the cursor on the settings of your PC, that will also make the in-game cursor larger, even if you do not have this setting turned on. So that's a quick tip on how to make the cursor as large as needed to make your game a bit more comfortable for you to play. When it comes to the design of the game, I was a bit skeptical before I started the game that the Moomin's white fur would completely blend into the white snowy background. But luckily the dev did add a smart design choice, which was giving him like a soft outline. This was clever, but I do wish the developer had taken it one step further and given us the possibility to make the outline even harder, or in the best case scenario, the possibility to change color of the outline. If they had done so, this game would have been massively more accessible for low vision gamers and be something quite unique in the indie game space. The HUD and UI do also have this outline, making them easier to see, but you have no possibility to scale them up. For the most part, they stay the same, but they do in some cases get a bit larger to accommodate for the larger text setting, but that is not that much. Motor accessibility. And back to something a bit more positive. Moomintroll Winter Swarm can be played with both a mouse and a keyboard and with a controller. And since this is a Steam game, anything that Steam recognizes as a controller will also work. Example, the Xbox Adaptive Controller or the Xbox Adaptive Joystick. The game will rely on you to use 11 keys while playing on the keyboard and the joystick, and 7 buttons while playing on a controller. You can get away with a one-handed controller like this when doing gameplay, but navigating in the menu and settings get a bit complicated when you do not have access to a regular controller. All buttons, both on keyboard and controller, can easily be remapped in the settings. And to my surprise, there are actually 2 more motor accessibility options in the game. The first one is the possibility to turn on single tap instead of press and hold buttons for interactions. Making it so, for example, when making a large snowball, you can push the button once, roll the snowball where you want it, and push the button again to let the snowball go. The second one is the possibility to turn on bigger shovel radius, making you take away considerably more snow each time you shovel snow. I am so grateful for both of these options, as playing a game with arthritis sometimes can be a really big struggle, especially when every movement and button press gives you pain. This game is quite button heavy, so having options like this that greatly reduce the need for that is a huge win in my book. There are some parts of the game where you will need to have to aim a snowball, but it does not require you to hold down any buttons to make the snowball if you have the tap instead of hold setting on. Good thing is that the aiming itself never requires you to hold a button down, and it's really easy as it automatically snaps to the closest target. If you are struggling with using and aiming the snowball when in a minigame with life or a timer, I do recommend you to enable the slow moving characters and simplified snowball fights. And last but not least, luckily there are no quick time events in this game. Cognitive accessibility. And talking about QuickTime events, let's take a look at the last accessibility category, cognitive accessibility. By design, Moomintroll Winter's Warmth is a slow-paced and calm gaming experience that lets you work on how to play the game on your own terms. There are no traditional difficulty settings in the game, but there are many options that can help you make the game easier for you if you struggle. I already mentioned the possibility to enable snow-moving characters and simplified snowball fights, both things that make the minigames easier for you. There is also the possibility to turn on the options that stops Sorio from running away when you are facing the wolves, and you can skip the rolling snowball challenge altogether. I also really enjoy seeing that the wind challenges in late game could both have reduced speed, giving you almost twice as long between each gust, and be completely turned off, making it easier to move through those parts of the game. Only problem I have with these options, as mentioned before, is that they are not explained in any ways in the setting, so I sadly are not 100% sure when these options are in effect and not, as some wind will still persist in early stages of the game, even with this option turned off. If you struggle with dyslexia, there are some options that will help you as well. First one is dyslexic font, which is a font that is said to make it easier to read for people with this disability. But just FYI, there are no science behind it to back it up, and I myself struggle more to read when this option is on. Still, I have seen many other people say it helps them, so it's nice that it is a possibility to have in the game. But sadly, when I played the game with the dyslexic font and larger font turned on, I did have some clipping issues in some of the menus, but I assume this will be fixed in an update if it isn't already. Second setting that can help people with dyslexia or any other disability that affects how you read is the possibility to make speech bubbles last longer on screen. This is an especially good option for the bubbles that randomly pops up while moving freely around in the world, but when there are speech bubbles that lock you in place, it can sometimes be a bit too much. If you get motion sick by text animation or think that it makes it harder to read a sentence, it is the settings that turn off all text animation, which I really did appreciate. And last but not least, if you are afraid of getting lost in a game, do not worry, every step of the game gives you quest marks that are both written down in your journal and marked on your map. And if you ever wonder how to get back to a place, you can always just mark it on your map and you get this little finger on your screen telling you which way to go. All in all. Well, to end this video, I have to say that all in all, Hypergame has come a really long way with the accessibility in Moomin's Winter Warmth compared to the previous game, Snufkin. They seem to have understood better now the need for accessibility even in games that are cozy and with a slow pace. And I can for sure now say that Moomintroll Winter's Warmth are a nice way for new gamers and disabled gamers to get introduced to this hobby. Especially impressive is the fact that this game is completely playable without any need for sound, and the understanding for cognitive accessibility, which is often overlooked in today's gaming world. But there is still a way to go. I'm missing more advanced settings like screen readers and better text size for blind gamers, and even more simple steps like having a dedicated accessibility page available on their webpage. The latter is something that is easily still possible to add and something I do hope to see in the future. Remember, the best day to start adding accessibility was yesterday, and the second best day to start adding accessibility is today. And that was it. All in all, I would give the accessibility in Moomintroll Winter's Warmth a 7 out of 10. It is absolutely worth checking out, but it do have some barriers that make it not possible to play for some. So, what do you think? Please do let me know in the comments what you think of this game and which game you wish for me to check out next. And until next time, bye!